What's happening, gamers? K Mega 405 coming to you live from the 405. Where I'm just your regular gamer talking to the intelligent gamers. If you're new to the channel, so kind to hit that subscribe button, that like button, all that, man. Really do appreciate it, man. Trying to get to that 4K, man. That would be greatly appreciated. Hit the notification bell, all of that, man. It'd be greatly appreciated. But let's get on to the video. Now, I was reluctant on talking about this because, I mean, this is pretty much common sense, right? Like, what makes a great console is its diversity. And to me, what made 360 probably one of the best consoles of all time was because of its diversity, on top of the technology that was in the box itself, right? And all the new techie things that the 360 provided for gamers that gamers have never seen before. The OG Xbox was really dope for its diversity as well, but a lot of people didn't gravitate to it because a lot of people didn't believe in the Xbox was going to be sticking around. So now we come back 20 years later, we see that Xbox is still thriving, doing its thing. Even though last gen it was an up and down year. A lot of people may say that it was all down, but regardless, the one thing that was, I say, one of the biggest problems for the Xbox last gen was the fact, or the lack of, Eastern content. There was a lot of things that Xbox One just wasn't providing. They weren't providing a lot of fighters. They weren't providing a lot of JRPGs. They weren't providing a lot of just different type of games that gave that diversity from its predecessors. And that's why I feel like a lot of the 360 and OG Xbox gamers jumped over to the PlayStation, because PlayStation was way more diverse. You had these type of games that were Japanese, you had others that were, to say, Eastern, and there was others that were there was Western. There was all different types of diversity that gamers could sink their teeth into. And that's where the Xbox One, if anything, lacked the most. The last couple of years, the Xbox company has been doing well on the field by going out and showing love to the Japanese developers, to the Eastern developers, because it's not only just them. China is making games now. Korea is making games. There's games being made all over the place. But even India is starting to make games. And this is the beautiful thing about it. The diversity is what's needed, and I think, for any platform to thrive and to survive. The main factor, though, is that Xbox promoting these games, like you're seeing right here. This is Scarlet Nexus. I love this game. This game is fantastic. Now, again, it might not be for everybody because the story is so over the top, and and the combat might be a little bit something odd, or whatever the case may be. But still, the option to have this game available on the Xbox platform is very important, and for them to pretty much market it is even more significant, because it gives this look, this vibe that, look, Xbox is back to being the way that it was at its greatest point. And so again, like, when we look at what the content creators last gen tried to present, like, hey, I mean, the Western RPG is the king. Everything else is faltered to it. And listen, I'm not going to say that there wasn't some fantastic Western RPGs, and that, people can even make the argument, and I'm not going to even fight with them, by saying that they were making the best titles. Now, again, how could Xbox gamers get an opportunity to play it unless they have a PlayStation or a Nintendo or a PC to actually, and really it was just pretty much Nintendo and PlayStation, because they weren't getting the JRPGs. They were getting older ones, but they weren't getting them at the click of like they are now. But we can include PC into it. How could gamers even say that if they're only primarily on an Xbox? And that at one time was all that I was hearing from people that I even was, that I socialized with and things like that. But I never agreed with it. I thought that it was crazy to make that notion that, Japanese games were tired or boring or didn't have any significance. And so to see that those people that were making these claims are now over here capping for a Japanese company that makes Japanese games makes this all so bittersweet. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that they were wolfing tickets. They were for the public. And a lot of people fell to it. And even to this day, there's people that I still see in the community that bring this up every once in a while. Is that, oh, this and that. Then all of a sudden, things changed. When Game Pass really started kicking in and these Japanese games or Eastern games started coming over to the platform, they actually gave them a try. Things are changing. Like, for instance, Like a Dragon, the Yakuza series. Doing very, very well on Xbox. Because you know why? The Xbox gamers have access to it. I am disappointed still that Guilty Gear Strive is not on Xbox, and it may not ever come to Xbox. And I feel that that's a missed opportunity for a lot of Japanese developers out there, that we don't have games like EX Layer and others. Because of me loving fighters the way that I do, I feel that it's a missed opportunity. But since we've seen the King of the Fighters is coming, we see that, Tales of Arise, we got other fighters that's going to be coming here, Melty Blood, going to be coming to Xbox. It's a start, and it's going in the right direction. Xbox is going in the way that it should be, and where it was at its most dominant during the 360 era, when it had all of that diversity. See, if you go back and you think about it, it's really weird, because as a person that's grew up into gaming, I've always kind of been into, Japanese anime, or at that time it's called Japanimation. You go back to the Transor Z's, you got Robotech, you have, Akira, you got Ninja Scroll. I mean, I'm just going down to, you got the Guyver, you got so many other different stuff, different animations that I used to watch all the time. But you couldn't, back in the 80s and 90s, come talking to people about those type of shows, because they didn't know what the hell you was talking about, for one. And two, it just wasn't popular like that. It wasn't popping like that. Once the Yu-Gi-Oh!, the Pokemons, the Digimons, and then Dragon Ball Z started kicking off, that's when everything started changing in the mid-90s, I would say. And then by that time, the mid and late 90s. And then by the 2000s, things started changing over. And the popularity of Japanimation or anime is at an all-time high. Look at now. There's some people that watch more animation or films than they do actual real films. It's kind of crazy. And that's why I hope Xbox keeps on looking at this and checking the temperature in the room, because this is what made Xbox 360 fantastic, is having these games like Scarlet Nexus and promoting these games like Scarlet Nexus and others, onto the platform, to where Xbox gamers from the West who, can actually get their hands on these games. Now, will we get all of them? Absolutely not. I'm pretty sure that for whatever reason, there's people that just don't have the resources. There's developers that just probably don't want to put anything on Xbox, on a Western console, and just want to probably primarily just keep it on PlayStation and Nintendo. And that's unfortunate. But the fact that we're getting back into this era, this category, it's very important. It does matter. Because like I said before, I think one of the biggest reasons is because why the Xbox One didn't thrive like it's supposed to is because of the lack of diversity. I don't know. I think I'm spot on this, but I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. I think overall, the Xbox, like I said, is going in the right direction. And I think mostly when we get to it, because PlayStation is making the moves too. They're going from being just more single player centric to now wanting to do more multiplayer games, things like that. It is just the way that you have to have a broader spectrum. You can't just keep it in just one element and think that that's just going to work. So again, play these games, enjoy them, try them out if you haven't. And don't listen to suckers, man. Just enjoy gaming, man. So everybody have a good one. As usual, until the next video, I'm out, man. Everybody have a good one. Peace.